Sanibonani and welcome to an all-new TV show, Thatha Wena, a show that brings the upside of arts, culture and lifestyle from Zimbabwe and the mother continent, Africa.
A show with something to say, something to contribute, something about our classics, legends, movers and shakers, something for that reserved and mature soul.
We want to talk to you about the glitz, the glamour, that young and trendy soul that loves to look and feel good.
Definitely, Thatha Wena is going to share with you African stories as told by us, Africans.
The African experience as lived by Africans.
And that essence yoguba that we as Africans have to share.
So please join us as we journey through these ideas that makes this continent move and talk to the people that come up with such ideas.
I'm Nkanyeziyethu Malunga, indosakusa yomuzwa wethu.
My name is Gilmore Tee, the global citizen.
My name is Mahocs and you're watching Tatha Wena.
I've fallen in love. So if you've just joined us, you haven't missed much because we're just dashing into our topic of discussion. In our very first episode, we talk about successful Africans and expectations that follow them. We will speak to one such successful individual and they will share about their experiences living within Zimbabwe and abroad, the expectations they contend with in their journey and life as one such successful individual.
And later on, we share interviews with some relevant voices on success within the continent. What it means to be successful, what one can do with such successes, and to what extent society has a stake on the success of an African.
But first, he's the Deputy Public Protector of South Africa. He studied at the universities of Swaziland, Natal, and in Washington, D.C.
He was also the spokesperson of the Marikana Judicial Commission of Inquiry, has worked in law societies such as the Black Lawyers Association and the American Society of International Law.
We can go on about our guest and say so much because he holds so many titles to his name. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome Sifiso Kevin Malunga. Or should I start the other way? Kevin Sifiso Malunga.
Absolutely.
Good to have you on our show.
No, that's great.
Welcome. And there's some tea for you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a beautiful set.
Thank you so much. So dashing straight into our theme. Our theme is successful Africans and expectations that follow them. What are your thoughts about it? Because as a society, I feel we think that if one has made it within our society, they owe something to us. But then there's people like me who obviously think, no, I don't think this should be compulsory or obligatory because it shouldn't be a must. It's your own personal option to give back or not to give back.
You know, my personal view has always been that we are all a collective. Everybody matters.
Okay.
Right. From the cleaner to the taxi driver to the lady who works in the hospital as a nurse. Everyone has that role to play. It's a common bond. In other words, if someone drops the ball, if we're all dropping the ball, the country goes down.
Okay.
So let me take Zimbabwe as an example. Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe that I spent my boyhood in was very dynamic in every aspect. Things worked, right? Things worked. Whether it was the primary school, the government schooling system, the public health system, you know, the roads, everything. And that requires every member of society to contribute.
Talking about you were born and raised in Zimbabwe, and you went to Hillside Primary School. And Mzingwane for your high school. Does that also, do you feel the pressure to contribute to something when you look back, I went to Hillside Primary School, so I need to do something for that?
Something towards that.
I am very active in amongst the alumni of Mzingwane, the high school especially. I drove past Hillside Primary School earlier on and I was gutted. You know, the grass is overgrown. This was one of the best schools in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. the
Obviously,
facilities.
because he produced you, right?
I mean, look, even if you get out there, even just in terms of the infrastructure, you see, Zimbabwe is so ironic in the sense that it's got this beautiful infrastructure, beautiful schools, wonderful education, but it's struggling. And you ask yourself, how is that happening? You see. But back to the question that the original question, I obviously do feel a sense of commitment and wanting to give back. But I'm an African. I'm a South African. I'm a Zimbabwean. You know, it's possible.
All in one. So yeah.
Yes, I have that citizenship. Yeah. So, and I certainly do believe that you can make a difference just by being principled to start with. Integrity. Putting certain value systems first. Now, what has happened in Africa, including this very country that we're in right now, is that things have failed because all the checks and balances fell apart.
All right.
Okay.
People ignored all the fundamentals of good governance. It's a textbook case. This country is a textbook case of what you don't do, how not to run a country.
Okay.
It's a textbook case. I can see all that flamboyant stuff about reclaiming our land and all this,
That's
all the political stuff about asserting Africanness. I'm Pan-African. I'm as African as you get. I'm proud of being African, but I'm not stupid. Right? That's the one thing, which is what happened in this country was very dumb and stupid.
So you feel that as citizens also and as citizens of the country, as Africans, we have a responsibility to play in giving back to our country and building back to our society.
Yeah. So I think, and part of it is taking back certain fundamentals of good governance.
All right.
Which is, for example, accountability.
Okay.
Holding power accountable, right? Ensuring that corruption is punished. You know, that there are consequences for corrupt behavior. We've tried to do that in South Africa with some success, and I think that in my current role, we really push the boundaries, especially with the previous public protector, Mothobe. We really made that institution known around the world, and it wasn't really about us as
individuals.
Yeah, it was also about what is possible and what is capable and what can go wrong.
Okay.
So given what you just said about accountability, where does this put governing institutions or governing boards when we expect individuals to make contributions towards our communities?
Well, look,
How then do we hold these governing bodies accountable?
those governing bodies are run by individuals.
All right.
So you have to have a certain caliber and a certain quality of individual who can then run those institutions. People who are incorruptible, people who believe, who walk the talk.
Okay.
You see, because currently now you just have a situation where people just do as they please.
Okay.
You know, when corrupt behavior is just left unpunished, people just do what they like, and I think for me that's actually where we are, why we are where we are. Yeah, and I mean I'm not going to be very diplomatic about it, and if it continues like this, it's going further beyond a cliff, and I think people must learn from these things.
All right, maybe just to shift a little bit, I'm going to quote Lupita Nyong'o. She's an award-winning actress. When she was talking to one of Kenya's radio station, Capital FM, she says that my responsibility is primarily to myself and to what I feel my purpose is on this earth. And when that saves others, I am very happy with that. I can't make other people's expectations the first thing I am serving. That's when I will lose track of the very thing that makes them proud of me. The expectations is something I hear about, not something I focus on, which is the direction of my life. My main responsibility is to be true to myself. What's your comment about that?
I agree with Lupita, probably 30%.
And the 70%?
And 70% is the exact opposite.
Okay.
I feel
One
that
has to give back.
constantly one's role is really about the community, serving the community, and of course you are part of a community. I'll give you an anecdote that I often give, that you are first part of a family, right?
Yes.
And that family becomes part of a street, a neighborhood, and in turn that becomes a city,
Yes.
and in turn that becomes a country.
Yeah,
So the value system,
where you come
the
from.
value systems, yes, the value systems that you instill in your family. If you allow your child to bring back stolen sneakers or bread or whatever, it becomes a thieving family, right? And then in turn that becomes, and if that becomes the value system of that neighborhood and that particular community, it becomes a thieving, corrupt community.
Okay.
And in turn that becomes the value system of the country. So I certainly do believe that people are interdependent.
They are. True.
And so are the professions. There's no profession, I believe, that is more important than the other. You know, when you go to that public toilet, you want to find it clean. You don't want find something floating in there, right? you want it clean, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you value a cleaner and a janitor.
Okay.
Correct.
Oh, mama, I've fallen in love.
So we are still talking about successful Africans and the expectations that follow them. And in studio today we've got, should we call you advocate, or deputy public protect,
None of them.
or doctor,
Kevin.
or just Kevin Malunga? There's an interesting discussion that we're talking about, and then referring to one of the boxers, international boxers, Floyd Mayweather. He said that in his interview, one of his interviews, people say, well, he got all this money, why is he not giving it to Africa? Well, what has Africa given to us? What has African come and gave to my family and to my children? Things work two ways. And then there was a lot of talk around that because people were saying that he's got some African background or some relation to Africa. Why is he saying such things? This issue of entitlement, again, it comes in picture.
This guy is more ignorant than I thought he was. Really.
But I think I always find, I studied in the US and I always found that there are two types of Americans, especially African Americans, those who want to be tied or linked to Africa and those who feel they want nothing to do with it. And
But he is American though.
yes, so in his case, he is American. So I think even though I find the comments a bit unfortunate, but I think it would be more unfortunate if it was someone coming from the continent.
Okay.
Okay, so I think Floyd clearly failed his history class. For America to be what it is today, Africa played a role, a very big role. So never mind the fact that his ancestors are possibly from Africa.
No, Floyd didn't go to any history class. that's another story.
So that's it.
I think he's still. I think I read somewhere that he's trying to.
So
to do his
I'm sure he was
story
fighting
It
instead.
really we have people who think giving back promotes some type of dependency syndrome. What do you think is the best way to invest in our societies?
It doesn't even have to be money. It can be, you can give back through value systems. There are these guys which set up charities, which educate children, or which maybe they focus on a particular disease. Some people focus on nutrition, some people focus on... So there's so many ways in which you can give back, as it were, in terms of a value system and in terms of people's thinking. I mean, if you look at the Clinton Foundation, for example, you know, it's working HIV, it's working. Let's give them back if you can. If you have the resources. I'm not too. Yes, and of course, philanthropy is viewed with great suspicion, especially among governments, because they often competing with governments, right? but it's not something to be afraid of if it's done correctly. If it's not done with the spirit of regime change or trying to influence political outcomes and so forth, it's a good thing. And I certainly believe that I think international cooperation is good. I've worked with a lot of diplomats in my career. I've worked with people from various countries, and we do a lot of exchanges. And I certainly believe that obviously one person alone cannot. Yeah, so I think that's why we need stronger institutions. We need strong, accountable government, which is what we've been trying to do. We also need empowered individuals who, understand the values of integrity, the values of anti-corruption, the values of globalism and so forth.
Maybe just going back to where you studied, the United States. There's a lot of talk right now. When Barack Obama went into power, there was a lot of talk in terms of expectations from Africans. And even on the 24th of June in 2013, the ENCA says that Africans were very excited when President Obama was elected. They expected deeper engagement than in the past, both in regards to policy and also in terms of actual visits to the continent, given the president's African heritage. This is from Mwangi Kimenyi, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. So my question comes to the fact that has he done enough, but do we also need to feel entitled to getting something from him being in power because he's God?
I suspect that there'll be more of him post-power than during. Because you see, U.S. policy, Africa is not the biggest priority on their policy agenda. And it's something that is obviously, I also find it very disappointing. But I think they don't prioritize it. Partly because of the economic interests. I mean, but there is oil on the continent, there's a lot of things, and there's minerals, there's all sorts of things that they, maybe not necessarily the Americans, but certainly the Western countries do take from us, and they must also know that this is the most beautiful continent.
And they need to pay back the money.
Yeah, I'm not going to use that terminology.
They need to pay back the money. America is what it is today. Europe is what it is today because of what they took from Africa. So they need to pay back. It's not about contributing anymore. They just need to pay back. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, Western countries tend to be very reluctant on this reparations thing. I remember being in a museum at Oxford last year, and there were all these artifacts, from statues to mummies to a huge collection. And you ask yourself, who did they pay for this? They didn't pay for it. That stuff was looted.
Yeah.
I think the Zimbabwe birds, I think there are 5 of them, right?
Yes.
I think 1 or 2 are not in the country. And the same with a lot of countries with the artifacts. They don't have these things. But will you convince many Western countries to return them? The answer is no. Okay. You see, I think there's probably a need for better engagement with the West, and of course, and for them to be better schooled, because a lot of them are ignorant as to what happens on the continent. Some people come here thinking they'll find monkeys on the streets, but that's not the case, you see. So we really need to manage that narrative, and we need to be proud, proudly market these countries, our countries. People don't know that you can sit in Zimbabwe and have a nice cappuccino with Wi-Fi and all sorts of. They think it's ruins. Part of it is because probably the state and probably the people are not marketing the country.
Oh, mama, I've fallen in love.
So if you've just joined us, we were talking to Kevin Malunga on successful Africans and expectations that follow them. We touched on how you as Africans also need to be a part of your dream. Take responsibility and take forward whatever that you have in the community and be a part of it. Don't expect anyone to do things that you expect in your own life. Thank you very much, and don't you go anywhere. We'll be back soon after these messages.
Hasta la vista.
Oh, mama, I've fallen in love.
Talking about successful Africans and the expectations that follow them, we gathered a few people to give us their views on that subject matter.
To me, somebody has to really give back to the community because you're brought up by the community. There's a saying, "Abantu abamnyama, umuntu nomuntu ngabantu."
Tina, that's how we live. That's how our culture is.
In our community, it really does create independence, and you have to come to a point as the one who is expected to give, to come to actually realize when you will not serve everyone, even your closest friends. Akusamelanga then suffocate. That's when you get frustrated when only the body that works, and you need to feed that body that works.
In order for our community to grow, in order for our country to grow, our city or Africa as a whole to grow, it's always good to give back.
Seeing your peers, I want to call it out, still at the same place, it should somehow pain you as a human being.
You can give back in the form of money. You can do it in kind.
It's not ukuthi abantu abancane abaningi in our communities. They can't do stuff, but we all know the situation in our country.
Giving should be a matter of principle, whether you want it or not.
Whenever you've probably made it, make something bigger than just giving 2 rand to somebody else, which is a smoke, or whatever. There is going to be pressure from around abantu. There's expectations, to be honest.
I think also lathi esitravelayo siyafuna ukuthi sizifake phezulu and pressure ourselves in feeding everyone.
Inakithi lapha nginje ngiyimume ngenda nxa ngakhuliswa ngu-aunty engiyongigcinileyo sengiyawina ngotime nina and then aunty amehlala emkhukhini ngoba aunty lekhe ehlala one room. Vele ku-African culture it just doesn't make sense at all. Thina singama-Africans sikhulise njalo.
You know what actually grinds my gears? The fact that these able-bodied people on the street.
And you know what the sad thing about it is that most of these people that are on the streets are young children. They're going to grow up and become men, women, and then we're creating a dependence syndrome within our society. So it grinds my gears. Like, it's a mess. What grinds my gears is
What actually grinds my gears?
We look forward to hearing from you ngoba kuyasikhuthaza. So please get in touch with us on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You know the drill.
Signing out, I am Nkanyeziyethu Malunga, indosabusa yomuzwa wethu.
And thank you very much for watching at home. You make us what we are every single day, and to the team behind the scenes, thank you very much. I am Gilmore Tee, the global citizen.
And I'm Mahocs, and Malunga, and Tombiona, and